Hey folks, welcome back. Today's the day that I've been kind of dreading for a while. Today's the day we find out if the donor spindle will fit into that $7,000 mistake, also known as a Monarch 10EE. Now, for those of you who don't know, my friend purchased the Monarch 10EE, a 1990 model, sight unseen in an auction. By the time he paid everything, he was up to $7,000. They brought it over to my shop during a Richard King scraping class about 5 years ago now. And we went through the machine to see how great this wonderful lathe was going to be. It was a disaster. The lathe would only go to 1400 RPMs. We started looking and somebody had taken out all the original electronics board that controlled the engine and substituted things that just won't work with that kind of motor. All that has to be replaced. The bad part was we found that the lathe had been in a terrible wreck. I mean, somebody had ran I guess the tool post into the spindle, or probably a chuck, and it tore it up so bad. It broke the dovetail on the crossfeed. But worse, and this is the spindle that came out of it, it destroyed these bearings up here. These are really expensive, $2,800 the last I heard, and it's probably a lot more by now. Bearings, they're trashed. The rears seem to be okay. But the big problem was it bent this spindle. I didn't call Monarch because frankly I couldn't afford one if I had to. And things were looking pretty bleak for this lathe. Luckily, one of you kind viewers living up in Canada saw the original video and says, "Hey, I have a spindle that might work." And he sent it to me. And he said, "Don't even pay the shipping until you find out if it's going to work." So today's the day we find out if we pay him. It wasn't much, and it was a generous donation. It saved the life of this machine, well, at least in my hands. With all the other problems, I didn't think it was worth buying a spindle for it. But now the question is, will the spindle he sent me work? I measured out, and this was the old one again, I measured out the spindle and everything, and it had some different seals on it, like a labyrinth seal up here, whereas the other one didn't. But all the dimensions were very, very close, with the exception of this area on the shaft that takes the rear bearings. And there are a pair of matched bearings that sit side by side in this 1.5-inch space. On the donor shaft, it's not a shaft, it's a spindle. This area was only 1 1/8 inches in length. So that meant the rear bearing would be unsupported for 3/8 of an inch. Well, lots of people suggested things and sent it off to have it spray welded, grind it back down to tolerances and all that. I personally believe you can't spray weld a precision shaft. By the time you get the heat on this, you're going to destroy the accuracy. And regrinding it, yeah, you've got an end down here that doesn't have a center, and it's very lightly machined. And by the time you put all the work into trying to regrind it, you could really screw it up. So I opted for plan B. Since it's only 3/8 of an inch, I got old Bob going and made a sleeve to fit onto this spindle. It's 3/8 of an inch long and 38 thousandths of an inch thick. And this isn't it. This was the first one I made, and it's about a half a thou to 1,000 off, and it wouldn't fit on there very well. So I remade it, and now it's a really nice fit. And it takes up the space on the other spindle to make it long enough to fully support the rear bearing. So follow along. I'm putting it all back together today. One of the viewers saw that I'd screwed up and put a nut on there backwards. Well, not put it on backwards. They redesigned it wrong. Yeah, that's it. They designed it wrong. Anyway, follow along. Let's see if it works. The other day we put together the spindle from a donor spindle from the kind gentleman up in Canada. And I think it's going to work. We're almost through putting it back together. In fact, I thought we were through. But one of the viewers said I screwed up. And I must admit, I did. There's a nut. Now, I'll show it to you. But first, I got to take it back apart and put it back together the correct way. And I don't know why I didn't think of this the other day. Dawn was bugging me too much or something. I don't know. Oh. This is the donor spindle. And I don't know why I didn't think of it the other day, but I should have just chucked it up here in the lathe to get it loose. Well, actually, I never thought that deadgum nut would be so tight on there. Brian Block says I should have hit it with my purse. Oh. Don't have a purse, Brian. I need longer arms. Littler lathes. There. That'll hold it. And what I'm going to do is just zoom in here. You guys either always something here. This is the tachometer, and I didn't know which way it went. I hadn't time to look it up. It comes back off. It's just got a key holding it on. The thing in question is this nut. Now, come on, guys. This is the surface it tightens up against. Wouldn't you think that the bevel would be this way? One spindle had it one way, one had it the other way. So I just thought, this should be it. But I looked it up on the drawings, and they actually show this nut to be turned around. Why? I have no idea. The only thing I can think of is because of this labyrinth seal right here. Maybe it has something to do with it. But on the other lathe, this nut was this way, and there was no labyrinth seal. So, would this work? Hell yeah. Is it right? Hell no. So, I came up with putting it in this lathe so I can hold it and get that nut back off of there without having to go through the ordeal I went through in the first place. So, be a simple 5-minute job. There it goes. Here's where you can lose the little brass pads. Let's put an old spoil board. Got some grooves in it. Maybe that'll catch it if it comes out. Okay, now we have two items to turn around. Number one, be careful not to drop out. I don't know if you can see them. There's a little brass plug is on both ones. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, when you look at a nut, guys, this is usually the surface it goes up against and gets tight, not the beveled side. I didn't design it. Which way did I say this went? Crap. I gotta go look it up, make sure. I'll be back. Well, I think I got it where you guys can see this along with me. Now, when you buy a Monarch lathe, you have the option of contacting Monarch and getting the operator's manual for that lathe. That's the serial number of this one. They used to be $75. I know this one was $150 about 5 years ago, but the previous owner bought it, kind enough to give it to me. And it's kind of a unique thing on these. I don't know if you can see this, but this is the lathe order. The entry date on it was 8/29/90. That was the PO. Promise date was 10/31/90. And it was Hillman, well, I think it was Hillman Baggett Incorporated in Jupiter, Florida. If you look down, it says Model EE Engineering Toolmakers Lathe, swing 12.5, speed 8 to 4,000. It says special paint, C note. Then down here on the bottom, paint machine Glidden 6102 Tectan polyurethane. I don't know if that green color is actually Tectan, but I doubt it. Came with, let's see, tailstock. That is a guard that came with. Pump and piping, feed rod, motor drive, a drive motor tachometer mounting, face and dog plate, 460, back gear, spindle drive, electrical lead screw reverse, a work light, 8-inch 3-jaw self-degenerating chuck with a D13 mounting. And it also came with a 4-jaw 8-inch chuck. And I'm not sure how I say it. SJOGREW collet chuck, number 2. Well, I've got that, and I've got the 3-jaw, but I don't have the 4-jaw that came with it. It's kind of neat getting the history of these things. These are some just conversion tables. Now this is, hope you can see this. This is a picture of that unit telling people or operators what to do. Check the oil. Check the oil level daily. Check the oil level. Flush out with new oil every 3 months out of the headstock. Leading edge turbine technologies, looks like that's where this was. And this was 8/6/2007. So, in roughly 17 years, this went from Florida to this place, and I think this was in Houston. And they also had startup procedures, hazardous energy control procedures, lockout tag. Well, this is different. It's got a serial number of 48105, where this one's 53870. Maybe they had more and that's quite a bit older lathe. Then we get down to the good stuff. This is kind of the Bible on this machine. It's got all your operating controls, and you can get one of these online. But this shows that machine, current model. How to lift one up, the chain through underneath the bed. They are heavy. They're at least 4,000 pounds. My tractor won't pick one up. Anyway, it goes through here, tells you about the tailstock, what to do, how to, adjust the belts, compound slides, electrical lead screw reverse information, spindle drive, theory of operation. And it basically goes through and tells you what's happening when the control lever is moved to the forward position. The runway relay is energized. Potentiometer is energized. Just goes on and on and on. But the thing I'm interested in right now is which way does that stupid gear go on so I don't mess it up. I've already sent the extra gear I had on to another man that needed one. Paying it forward. This is the Bajor lubricating nozzles it has in it. Probably going to have to replace them all. And then the rest of the manual is fold out after fold out after fold out of the different parts and their numbers. The page we're interested in is right back over here. And frankly, half of this doesn't apply to this machine anymore because they've changed all the electronics. We're still up in here we just now got out of the electrical section right there. All these pages are kind of useless. But this page shows us the spindle and all the parts attached to it. And if you look right down here, this is that nut. And you can see that the bevel's facing to the right. And then if you look right beside it, you see the gear for the tachometer. And that tachometer, the teeth are facing to the right, or towards the chuck end of the spindle. So, got to put that this way and that this way. Anyway, these are great to have. If you got one of these, order you the book. Make your life simple. All right, now that we know which way things go, I'm going to take a pick and I'm going to press those little brass plugs either out or make them go in. It looks like it'll stay. So that when we put them on the threads, they're not engaging it. That ought to work. So this is the bevel end that needs to point towards the chuck end. Now, tachometer gear needs to go with the teeth facing the chuck end also. I'll tighten that back up over there. The only thing I can think of, can you see back in there? So when you turn the nut this way, the diameter of the boss on this labor seal is the same diameter as that bevel edge. Maybe it has something to do with keeping the oil path clear to go in there. Don't know. But we're ready to tighten it up. It's time to get my purse out again. It's pretty tight. Okay. Let's pull this out. Brass is still in there. Get us a Allen head set screw. Tighten it up in a minute. Brass pad is still in that one too. It's one tightened. Okay, two tightened. Now we need to put the, where are you? There you are. Key back in it. Just pray I don't drop it down there in the bottomless pit. There we go. Now this has got a, it is. And there you have it. She's ready to go back in. It's nice to have a large lathe when you're rebuilding old machines because you never know what you're going to run into. This is a 1957, I think, 57, 58 Axelson 20-inch. When I was looking for it, when I was looking for it, Brian said I should get the 40 they had there. No, it's 24 at least. No, too big. I didn't really have the length for it in here. It's kind of cram-packed, as you notice. But there's been 2 times since I got this lathe that I could have used at least a 24. So Brian was right. Buy the biggest one you can fit in your shop and buy a middle one for the little jobs. I'm going to put some oil down in there to kind of ease passage of everything. Went ahead and put some oil on the shaft here, or the spindle. I think I want a rubber hammer to bump that with. There's some splines that have got to line up. Oh, crap. Went down into the bilge that I haven't cleaned yet. Just jumped down in there. I took the plate off so I could measure it for a man. Golly. So I better put it back on. God knows what's in there. Now, before I go too far, I've done screwed up. Now, I don't know if you can see over here, but I need to get, I've already started the front bearing going on, but my slot that lines up with this pin right over here is in the wrong area. So, I need to come back out and get that thing lined up. Almost. There it goes. There we are. See what I'm seeing here? There's that pin right there, that pinhole needs to line up with this slot right there. And it's got to line up just basically This is my one shot to get it in there. This is the pin I'm talking about, and it needs to engage into this slot, and that needs to be dead on. So what I'm going to do is turn this screw around and get it started if I can, and that'll give me a good reference point that I can sight down. See that? I gotta get that lined up perfect. I need to start it in the hole a little bit more. I think start with this one. That'll go from there to there. We have that. I think it's down too low. What do y'all think? Huh. Resistance. Okay, got it on the splines now. My last chance to tell if that's really online with it, so I better get around there and do something about it. To me, it looks like it's just a hair down. What's it look like to you guys? I don't know. It's awful close there. Moved it a little. Guys, I had to turn on the air conditioner. By probing it, I think I need to make this go down just a little bit. Just a little shot. How much do I hit it? I feel a little lip on the bottom of that hole. I mean, that feels good. And there's always the chance that it might not be deep enough in there. Because as you can see, this bearing makes this sort of like a dead end in that channel. I'm going to go a little farther in. Block. I'm saying that's got to be in there. I can feel down the smooth. All right, I got a new battery in this thing. Got about a 1/4 inch to go pressing this in. The screw is fully engaged in there. So we're knowing we're in that slot, which frankly is the hardest part of this job. And as I was using the tailstock to press it in, I could feel when this gear started engaging. This is the tachometer gear. So I lined it up with the splines and now it's fully engaged. And we just need to get the rest of it in. See what else we can do. One bolt engaged. Two engaged. 3. Things coming out on this side. And that is on. Gears lined up. Hopefully, a little oil on this. Now we've got another part that goes in. And there's an O-ring that goes into that hole. Turn it around and you start putting in these 5 keys right here. Yay! 2 more pieces go. This goes on the outbound. And this goes on the inside. I think it goes like this, but I gotta go look. This goes like such. No, it doesn't, you idiot. It goes the other way. Ah. I went and looked it up and I still did it this way. Fool. Went the other way. It goes that way. Sorry if I'm in your way. Come on. This is why it's so hard to get off. Okay. Say like this. Yep. Now come on. The other one was backwards like that, but I would think this one would go. No, it may not. It may have to go that way too. Not the only way it'll fit the curvature of that locking mechanism. Well, I went ahead and tightened this nut up after I got back from dinner. And now all I need to do put that pin right there. It locks it on. Well, I'm hoping you can see this. Got the indicator sitting right on the inside taper. Get it down to 0 there. And now we're going to turn it. Each one of these divisions on here is a 1/2 thousandth. I don't know if you can see that, but I don't see the needle moving at all. Right there on 0. That looks pretty doggone good to me. Show you around. There's the inside after I got it all back together. I still have one oil line I gotta put back where it needs to go. There is the tachometer gear. And there's that nut that they designed backwards. Come over here. All this is back on. It feels so smooth. Next time you come, I'm going to take you and show you. I'm going to clean off of these idler pulleys here. They've got a little groove on them. I think I'll put them in bob and straighten them up. Anyway, that is one big hurdle. Got to take care of all the stuff under here that needs work. Just but we'll make it. Thanks for watching.